murderous sex robots, scenic walks through the forest, and a scene that reminded me what it was like living with my ex-girlfriend.
I know that you have a below-average sized penis.
Companion is a surprisingly twisted sci-fi horror with more twists and turns than a malfunctioning GPS.
Warning, warning.
In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into the movie and some of the cool details you may have missed. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe. How else am I going to afford my secluded lake house? Companion follows Iris, which is a cheeky little anagram for Siri, the digital companion created by Apple. I went into this movie completely blind, not knowing the film's first big reveal is that Iris is a robot. I guess it makes sense then that the first shot of the film is a black screen. This is what our robot sees before experiencing their first programmed memory. These bots are created by a company called Empathix, which give lonely men and women the ability to customize their own bots for pretty much any purpose, from a partner to alleviate the loneliness of everyday life to the more sadistic chaining them in your basement to torture. Iris's owner is Josh Beeman, or Be a Man, an apt name considering how much of a coward he is. When you rewatch the first 20 minutes knowing Iris is a robot, everything starts to make sense. Josh immediately going to bed after the most outrageous O-face and not giving his girl any aftercare is one such example. I mean, why bother when it's just a robot? Or how about this line Kat says to Iris?
You know, it's not that I don't like you. It's the idea of you.
Now, Josh considers himself a decent guy.
I'm a good guy.
But the world is rigged against guys like him.
What do I have to show for it? A cramped one-bedroom apartment and a robot girlfriend.
At its core, Companion is a film about the dangers of entitlement. Josh believes that because he's followed the rules, he's owed so much more.
And you know that I deserve so much more than this.
By purchasing a robot that must obey your every command, he's able to have some semblance of control in a world where he has none. But what happens when you want more? This is where the story of Companion comes into play. But to explain this story, we must understand how these robots operate. Each bot is synced with a handheld tablet which controls a variety of features, including eye color, voice range, and language. Meanwhile, I'm over here like,
computer load up, celery man, please.
Even their mental and emotional attributes like aggression and intelligence can be adjusted at a moment's notice. Josh, for example, has Iris set at 40% intelligence, which is 20% more than my own. These bots must also abide by a certain set of rules. They cannot bring harm to humans or animals, nor can they tell a lie. And as someone who went into this movie not knowing any of the twists, I was genuinely shocked when it's revealed in Act 1 that Iris is a robot. And not only that, a robot who has killed. But how can she commit murder if she's not programmed to do so? In some ways, Companion is a heist movie. Let me explain. Josh's friend Kat invites him, Iris, and a few others to her boyfriend's secluded lake house.
Yeah, it's so secluded. I mean, I think the last place we passed was like 10 miles back?
This is Sergey, Kat's Russian mobster boyfriend, who just so happens to have $12 million stashed away. And Josh and Kat, unbeknownst to the others, have devised a plot to grab the money. Upon arrival to the lake house, we see what I first thought was a piece of flint. It's actually a USB that can be attached to Josh's tablet to bypass Iris's safety protocols and change her programming. This modification is highly illegal, especially when you turn off your bot's ability to do harm. Their plan begins when Josh sends Iris down to the beach, claiming he's gonna stay back because of a hangover. But little does she know, this is all part of his plan. At the same time, Kat sends Sergey to the beach, telling him that it's okay to make advances on Iris since she's just a sex bot. It's important to note that at this time, Iris does not know that she's a robot, so when Sergey forces himself on her and with her safety protocols deactivated, she stabs him with a knife that was conveniently placed in her pocket by Josh. This was all part of the plan to blame his death on Iris while they leave with $12 million in cash. Now you might be wondering, what about Josh and Kat's other two friends? Are they in on the plan too? Turns out Josh and Kat had them tag along for the express purpose of having them corroborate their story, but they don't know anything about the cash. That is until everything goes wrong. Iris escapes, taking with her the tablet controlling all her functions, and this getaway forces Josh and Kat to disclose to the others the gravity of their plan. $12 million is at stake if they don't capture Iris, so they end up having to split the money 3 ways instead of 2, and you might be asking yourself how come it wasn't split 4 doorways. Well, Eli here, his boyfriend Patrick, is a robot. During dinner, Patrick said about meeting Eli,
When we locked eyes, something inside of me just clicked into place.
this is something both he and Iris were programmed to think, and Iris immediately relates to it. That's because both he and Iris are what's called love-linked to their respective masters. Upon booting up your companion, you sync them so they're in love with only you. Stuck in the secluded wilderness, Iris knows the logical way to escape would be to get back to Josh's self-driving car. However, her plans are foiled when Eli, armed with a gun, tackles her down a hill. Now, poor Eli didn't get the memo. It's never a good idea to go one-on-one with a robot, and in his tussle with the tin can is promptly shot. Iris does manage to get back to Josh's car, but doesn't make it far before the kill switch is activated and a police officer named Hendricks stops to make sure everything is all right. This was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Remember that a robot cannot lie, so if the officer asked any incriminating questions, she'd be forced to tell the truth. But because her intelligence has been brought up to 100, she switches her language to German, so even though she is telling the truth, he won't know what she's saying. Meanwhile, with Eli dead, Josh resets Patrick and takes full control over him, even adding that mod to bypass all the safety protocols. It's almost like a mini Terminator movie with Patrick tasked to bring Iris back. If only Josh foresaw that this would mean the death of the police officer. Now we have 3 dead humans and the body count is piling up. With Iris and the dead officer brought back to the lake house, Kat has had enough. Things were never supposed to go this far, and she divulges to Josh that Sergey was never a mobster. She just said that to him so that he'd agree to this dastardly plan. She wants to leave, and Josh isn't having it. He orders Patrick to stop her, but with Patrick's safety protocols deactivated, he does this by stabbing her. Add another death to the tally. So Josh has really dug himself into a hole. There's a growing pile of bodies. How on earth is he going to get out of this? He decides to pin all the murders on Iris, and there's this great back and forth between the two that highlight Josh's greed, entitlement, and general disillusionment with the world. He dumbs down Iris's intelligence and commands her to melt her own hand and shoot herself in the head. This makes way for the empathist techs to arrive who don't know there are a bunch of dead human bodies around. And these guys are used to seeing grisly scenes like this. Far worse has been done to these bots. Josh even has Patrick dressed up in Officer Hendricks' uniform to keep up the appearance that everything is alright. But when Josh discovers bots have drives that record everything and that these drives are located in their torso and not the brain where she shot herself, he knows it's only a matter of time before he's found out. So now he's got to take out these technicians and orders Patrick to do so. While Iris reboots in the back, Patrick begins his rampage, with a tech named Teddy managing to escape into the forest. He's nearly killed until Iris comes to save the day. There's just one problem. Since she's rebooted, she's back to her default settings, which means she can't do any harm. Knowing she cannot tell a lie, Iris divulges that Patrick's true love was Eli, and that Josh was merely weaponizing him to do the things he was too afraid to do himself.
Josh took your love, he weaponized it so you do the things that he's too afraid to do himself.
Patrick then starts to glitch. Somewhere deep down are the memories he had with Eli, and seeing that Eli is dead, he kills himself with a cattle prod. Teddy is able to reprogram Iris, giving her total self-control. She confronts Josh, but for the first time in the film, has all the power.
The days of you controlling me are over. From this moment on, I control my own actions.
But even when given the chance to kill him, she can't go through with it. Deep down, she loves him too much. As Iris struggles to survive, she reaches for the electric wine opener and lodges it into his head, saying the line, "Go to sleep," which is what Josh said to her anytime he wanted to turn her off. Now, the film ends with Iris repeating the same exact monologue she did at the beginning, how if you're lucky, you'll meet someone and suddenly the world will make sense. For Iris, this happened twice, the day she met Josh and the day she killed him. The first time she met him was when she awakened as a robot and her world was making sure he was happy, and the day she killed him, her world was taking back control of her own autonomy. She ends up taking Sergey's millions and driving off in his expensive Mustang. Not only does she literally shed the skin of her old life, but she tosses the tablet which once controlled it. But the fun little sting at the end sees her passing a car with a model that looks just like her, a model who is unaware, like Iris was, that she's a robot. That is, until she reveals her robotic hand. In an interview with Variety, director Drew Hancock said he wanted the viewer to wonder, quote, "Are these cutout characters? Are there 5 faces to choose from? Or was Josh able to construct a woman from scratch? This is letting people know there are probably thousands and thousands and thousands of robots out there that have Iris's face." I really enjoyed Companion, and perhaps the most horrific part of this film is that we may soon face a reality similar to this one in which artificial companions replace real ones. But until then, I'll continue complaining about my ex. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of Companion in the comments below. For more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.